So we'll start with Sarah and then move to Mrs. Garland and then Mrs. Reeves.
Thank you very much. We have submitted our letter, our recommendation that commutation be granted for Mr. Garland. I'm happy to take any specific questions you may have.
Are there any questions from board members?
No questions.
No questions.
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Garland, would you wish to address the board at this time?
Yes, good afternoon, board members. My name is Mrs. Annette Garland. I am the wife of Leon Garland, and I come before the board today to tell you a little bit about my husband. Leon Garland is a passionate man who is very remorseful for the loss of Mr. Skinner. I've been with my husband since 1971, and I know that my husband is not a violent person. If my husband is granted this release, I hope to find some type of organization where he can help these children out here that are killing one another. Outside, whatever my husband decides to do with his life outside of those walls will be productive. He has always been a hard worker, and I see nothing but happiness and peace with our family. When those dark days have come over the years, we have always lifted each other's spirits. It has never been easy. Excuse me. It has never been easy. What has kept us together is just the love that we have for each other. I have always been in his corner. I believe in him, and I know that he has been very, very remorseful. We talked about this throughout the years and decades that he has been incarcerated of the death of Mr. Leroy Skinner. If my husband is granted this release, I know that things will be, I know that he will be very productive on the outside with this family. I thank the board for taking the time to listen to, to my statement. And I pray that he is released from the institution. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Garland. Are there any questions by board members for Ms. Garland?
No, Governor. Thank you.
No, Governor. Thank you.
No questions. No, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Reeves, the floor is yours.
Oh, hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Reeves, and I am the youngest sister of Leon Garland. I currently work as a credential trainer for EPIC. That's an electronic record software. I hold a master's degree in computer resources. Okay, I am here on behalf of my brother, Leon Garland. I've known my brother my entire life. We grew up together. Our bond has always been strong, from playing together as kids or supporting each other as we got older. I was 15 years old when my brother went to jail. Although it was tremendously hard for him, it ripped my heart out to know that my brother was going away for life. My brother has been incarcerated for over 50 years. During this time, he has shown deep remorse for the offense he has been convicted of. He realizes the pain that this has caused both families. He has made significant strides in being rehabilitated. He received his GED and even taken some psychology courses. He's worked as a tailor and a plumber over the years. He has stayed out of trouble and avoided the negative influence within the prison. My brother is a kind soul. He wants to help young men and boys avoid making the same mistakes he did once he's released from prison. He was just a boy when he went in, and now I see a mature man that is remorseful for what happened. I also have seen him grow spiritually. Keep God first is what he says every time we end our calls. Over the decades, my brother has missed so much of life, not being with his wife, and most painfully, the chance to see his daughter grow up and his grandchildren, to know his grandchildren better. He has also been absent from the lives of his siblings, including myself, and has deeply regretted not being there for us. The loss of many family members over the years has added to his sorrow and regret. Family is very important to him. I truly believe that the time he has served has rehabilitated him and allowed him to mature into a different person than he was all those years ago. He is no longer the boy who was convicted so long ago. Instead, he is someone who understands the gravity of his actions and carries that weight of understanding every single day. As his sister, I have seen the changes in him firsthand. I believe that he has paid his debt to society, and he deserves the chance to live the rest of his life with his family who love him dearly, and we have missed him for far too long. We are here for him in any way he needs our help for his re-entry back into society. We are also here to help him financially. Excuse me. He will have strong family support to help him. I respectfully ask your consideration and grant my brother a second chance at life outside of prison. I have no doubt he will be a positive contributing member of society if he is given that opportunity. I thank you for allowing me to speak on my brother's behalf. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're fine. Thank you. Are there any questions from board members?
No,
No.
Governor, thank you.
No,
No,
thank you.
Well, thank you all for appearing here today. We certainly appreciate your testimony, and with that, you're free to go, and we'll move on to the next case.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Governor, there are a large number of speakers for this next case. The first group we're going to bring in are speakers in support of Mr. Sanders, which will be a friend, Terrence Lewis, his prospective employer, Arthur Quinn, and his cousin, Vernisha Wilson.
So
Oh, I'm
question,
sorry, and Anthony Leskovich.
let me go. Did all of them submit their statements in writing, or are some of them just wishing to speak before the board?
So yeah, the people that are logged in, they were scheduled to speak before the board, so they don't necessarily have letters.
Okay.
Thanks.
Can you just give me the names of the folks that are speaking?
Sure. We've just submitted Terrence Lewis, Arthur Quinn, Vernisha Wilson, Anthony Leskovich, and also Sarah Boyette is on the line from the Philly DA's office.
Okay. We'll start with Mr. Lewis. You have the floor to address the board.
Thank you so much, sir. If I may, I have prepared a very brief showing of support and I would like to read it on behalf of Mr. Sanders, with your permission.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Terrence Lewis, and I'm a former inmate that served a total of 21 and a half years due to the result of a wrongful conviction. Now I am an exoneree and a founder of the Liberation Foundation. I'm here today to give Jay Sanders, my former cellmate and friend, my support for commutation from life without the possibility of parole to release with life on parole. Throughout JT's, that's what we call them, incarceration, I have personally witnessed and seen his commitment to personal growth and change. He has undergone a mental, a spiritual, and emotional, as well as physical development, learning the importance of responsibility and the impact of one's actions. I've witnessed this in person in many years over many occasions over the years that JT and I was housed together. We were housed together for approximately 10 years at the same institution, and he was my cellie for about 5 years. JT has actively participated and either spearheaded and facilitated various rehabilitative programs, including the likes of character development, thinking for a change, violence prevention, victim awareness, and Project Hope, which is a pre-reentry program developed by my organization, TLF. If the respected members of this honorable board of pardons were to ask anyone from his peers up to staff members, we will all share the same tongue, saying the same speech, that JT Sanders is known as a mentor for the youth and a voice of reason for an adult, and he's a source of calm during any storm. There's no doubt in my mind that upon release, Jay Sanders will not be a risk to recidivism. The changes that he has implemented voluntarily has and emphasized his understanding of education and his desire to be a benefit to himself, his family, and his community. This second chance will not be wasted upon him. In addition to the support from his family, I also personally volunteer my personal support from a personal standpoint, as well as executive director of TLF. This is inclusive, whether it be of employment, housing, as well as financial assistance. Jay Sanders will have what he needs to be a successful reentrant back into our evolving society. I would love to hire JT as an assistant project manager to work on TLF's new initiative that is now underway with Drexel University, specifically Dr. Brian Ellis, in creating a curriculum that involves non-traditional adult learners for other parolees, so that they also can seek the blessings of having a second chance, of which they deserve, similar to JT. That's all that I have today in support of JT Sanders. I thank this respected board again for allowing me to speak on his behalf and allowing this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members?
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
No, Governor, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Arthur Quinn.
How you doing?
Good, good.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good. Feel free to address the board at this time.
How you doing? My name is Arthur Quinn, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Jay Sanders. The most important part, I want to say thank you to y'all, for giving him this chance. And he has a tremendous support system. And I'm a young entrepreneur, and I consider Jay Sanders my big brother. He's been there, for the last 6 years, just motivating me. And we've been talking about, doing a lot of stuff for the community right now and these children that need help out here. I own a trucking company, and I would love to, employ Jay, if y'all give him that second chance, allow him to come work for the trucking company. I also talked to him numerous of times on helping him get his own truck, so he could start his own entrepreneurship in the trucking industry. It's words can express how I'm feeling right now, and just the conversations, and I'm just thankful that he got this opportunity. And I'm trying not to get emotional, but he's definitely it's too much, man. I apologize. Yeah. Um, I'm sorry. Could I'll have nothing else to say right now.
Okay. Any questions from board members?
No, Governor.
No, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Vernisha Wilson.
Hello, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Good afternoon. I want to thank the board for speaking with me today. I'm here in support of Jay Sanders. I did not write a speech, but I do have a lot to say, but I'll make it short. Jay Sanders is my cousin. He's my older cousin, but he's more like a father to me. And when he left, before he left, he did a lot to help the family. He did a lot to help me and my siblings. He did a lot to help my mother. He used to take me to school, and my memories of him are just him taking us to school and doing homework with us and playing with us. And I miss him. I have been in contact with him since he's been away. I feel like if anyone deserves a second chance, it's him. I feel like people make mistakes, and I understand that what he was involved in was serious, and my heart goes out to the victims. But I also am not here to make it seem like, he is a victim or I am, but he definitely has support at home. He has support from me. He has support from the family. We always have, since he's been away, we've been talking about all of the things he'd like to do. I have a bachelor's degree in neuroscience and psychology, so he's into psychology. So we talk about him being a mentor for youth, mentor for young men that were his age. He went away when he was very young. He was still a kid, and I feel like he didn't really get a chance to live a normal life. And that is his fault because he made mistakes. But again, I feel like if anybody deserves a second chance, it's him. Sorry. I'm trying not to mute myself. I talk to him almost every day, and I actually just talked to him last night, and we were just laughing because I was like, I don't know, like I feel like I need to create a speech. I need to say all of these things to these people, but the truth is, I didn't, and I don't think I need to. I just want to say that if he is granted commutation and you guys would allow him to come home, he'd be a great member of society. I feel like he's grown since he's been there. I think that he understands his mistakes, and in his words, he doesn't like to say sorry because he feels like I'm gonna say a sorry excuse, an apology is not enough, but all he can do is do better. He can do better. When he gets home, he has support. He's a great person. He's an amazing person. And as the first speaker said, I feel like anybody that you talk to about Jay Sanders would say the same thing. And I think that he deserves a second chance, and I hope you guys do too. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you. Any questions from board members?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for appearing here today. And you're free to go. I missed the next. There were two other individuals that you had.
We have Anthony Luskovich plugged in, who is a mentor of Mr. Sanders and a prior DOC employee, actually.
Mr. Luskovich, do you want to address the board at this time?
There, I'm sorry. I had to figure out how to unmute the phone. I apologize. Yes, Governor, if it's okay, I would like to go now.
Yes, please. If you could turn your camera on, that's helpful, but if not, it's okay.
I'm trying to, sir.
Perfect. We can see you.
All right, I apologize for that. I'm out of touch. I haven't had to do Zoom in quite some time, so I apologize. Good afternoon, members of the board, observers, those providing testimony and applicants. I'm here today to offer my support for applicant J.T. Sanders and his pursuit of commutation. I would first like to take the opportunity to introduce myself and explain my relationship with the applicant. My name is Anthony Luskavich, and I previously held several positions within the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. The last position I held was Deputy Superintendent for Centralized Services at the State Correctional Institute at Cole Township, a position I served in for 11 plus years. In this position, I was charged with oversight of several departments, primarily focused on support and treatment functions of the institution. These include food service, psychology, psychiatry, chaplaincy, education, and treatment programming services for an inmate population that at times was upwards of 2,200 inmates. I retired from the Department of Corrections in May 2022 after 29 years of service to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. During my time with the DOC, I held several positions at both the institutional and central office levels. All of these assignments focused on programmatic treatment and mental health aspects of forensic settings. Since my return to Cole Township as Deputy Superintendent, I had multiple opportunities for regular interactions with Jay Sanders. These contacts covered varying reasons, all of which were positive in nature. As I'm sure it is common knowledge, the Deputy Superintendent has many contacts with the inmate population. Unfortunately, a large portion of these are negative in nature. All of my contacts with Jay were positive. Many of these contacts resulted in resolving potential difficulties with various factions of the prison population. Mr. Sanders' role as an elder within the Muslim community at SCI Cole Township afforded me the opportunity to have many of them with him regarding this religious community. These interactions were to discuss various events centered around the community, as well as personal concerns or questions we both may have had. In addition to resolving potentially problematic situations, several times the interactions between Jay, myself, staff, and the reentrant population resulted in intervening on behalf of all parties to include changing local procedures when appropriate. Regardless of the purpose of my interaction with Jay, they have always been professional, courteous, and respectful, with each of us speaking candidly and frankly regarding the topic at hand. Jay's leadership within the institutional community far exceeds the religious aspects of his incarceration. It also includes his involvement in programmatic efforts within the institution. His employment as a certified peer specialist and his presence as a mentor and role model to the population as a whole are evidence of his leadership and commitment to his reentrant peers. These are all documented efforts on his part, and I'm sure you have reviewed each of these, his programming efforts, leadership roles, and overall exemplary positive institutional adjustment, having incurred minimal infractions in the entirety of his incarceration spanning 26 years. The true question that we must pose today is, who is Jay Sanders as a man? What is his level of integrity, and what is his potential for successfully reintegrating into society if given the chance? Ultimately, what, if any, benefit or threat does reintegration into society pose to the community? I hope to provide my thoughts on this subject. As I previously noted, I retired from the PA-DOC in May of 2022. Since this time, I've been involved with Terrence Lewis and the Liberation Foundation. The Liberation Foundation is a nonprofit organization serving reentrants and wrongly convicted individuals from the greater Philadelphia area. I have specifically served as the co-director of Project Hope. Project Hope is a reentry program, as previously noted, where the curriculum of subjects pertinent to an individual's successful reintegration into their communities is presented. This presentation is accomplished through the utilization of subject matter experts, as well as individuals who have successfully reintegrated back to their communities after a period of incarceration. This method is utilized in an effort to assist and ensure that a reentrant never returns to a less than legitimate lifestyle, resulting in a return to a life of incarceration. You may be asking what this has to do with Jay Sanders, as he's been incarcerated for some time, serving a life sentence. While I have no intent of presenting another witness's testimony, I feel I would be remiss if I did not include these aspects of Jay's life. Through my involvement with this program, I've come to learn that Jay and Terrence are close friends, and in fact were cellmates of one another at various times of their incarceration. Jay was a part of Terrence's initial thoughts and outlines of what the Liberation Foundation and Project Hope would eventually develop into. As a previously exonerated individual, Terrence has worked hard to support Jay and his potential release endeavors. Jay, in turn, has been committed to the presentation of the Project Hope curriculum and currently serves as a peer facilitator for this program. The fact that he is dedicated to assisting other individuals as they prepare for a successful return to their families, communities, and non-incarcerated lives, with no real promise of ever experiencing this himself, shows that he is invested in serving his fellow incarcerated individuals, a trait that he will undoubtedly repeat in society if granted the opportunity to live as a released reentrant. Additionally, his involvement has allowed me to continue my contacts and interactions with Jay. It has given us both an opportunity to collaborate on furthering the Project Hope message and success, and get to know each other outside of the context of the prison setting. Through these interactions, I have come to see Jay in a different light. I now see a man who has matured, seen the errors of his past, and pursues his release with the utmost desire to experience freedom and give back in an unselfish, altruistic manner. I truly consider him a friend and collaborator in our shared efforts to better the lives of those preparing for release, and have pledged my continued support and guidance through all of his future endeavors. During my 29 years within the Department of Corrections, my philosophy towards incarceration has transferred into one of redemption and second chances. I have also adopted a philosophy of early intervention being the best avenue of addressing the epidemic of incarceration. Working on changing the front end of incarceration, as opposed to attempting to correct a lifelong pattern of bad decisions on the back end of the situation. I'm currently employed through the Horry County, South Carolina School District, working with troubled and emotionally disabled children in an effort to break the cycle of at-risk individuals becoming the statistic of incarceration. I feel this choice bears witness to my resolve towards this mission, a mission I share in common with Jay. But where does that leave the countless number of incarcerated individuals who may not have been afforded this type of support and guidance at an impressionable age? One person may be able to reach a child outside of their family and support structure, yet that one person may never be present to make that exact connection. What becomes of those who make a decision that is detrimental and devastating to the normal trajectory of a life? With the utmost respect to the victim and victim families of these impactful decisions, to function fully as a human being, one must believe that redemption is possible for those most deserving of it. In my humble opinion, based on my close and personal interaction with them, Jay Sanders is that person. Overall, I present this testimony as an opportunity to lend my support of Jay's pursuit of his freedom based on his level of maturity, service towards others, and common sense approach to life, which is integral to its success. I offer this support with the full knowledge that nothing's guaranteed, including his being granted release or even his successful reintegration if granted, but with whatever value and weight my opinion carries. I thank you for all your time, interest, and attention to my testimony and wish you all the best as you endeavor to weigh the merit of this application.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we are going to go to Dominique Ortez. Ms. Ortez, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, can you turn your camera on for me?
Yes. All right.
All right, thank you. You can go ahead and address the board at this time.
Okay. You still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna start off saying good afternoon. My name is Dominique Ortiz. I'm the youngest child of Philippe Ortiz. I was 6 years old when my dad's life was taken away by us. Taken away by this sick animal. So I don't think this animal deserves a second chance in this world because our father doesn't get a second chance in life. He will be gone forever. This evil person doesn't deserve to come home and start a new life and see his family and friends and make new memories, maybe even get married, have kids, get a job, make money, go on vacations, family barbecues, reunions. He don't deserve none of his great life moments because our father doesn't have the option. All because of him and the pure evil decision he chose to make. This was supposed to be a friend of my father. My father trusted this man and let him in his apartment that night that they murdered him. Our father, my father let him in the apartment and they murdered him, cold-blooded. This animal duct taped our father and strangled him to death. I don't think this animal like this belongs on the streets. He's only sorry because he got caught and the murder was not by accident. This was a planned out murder that he had a chance to back out of, but still planned and went with it. He knew what he was doing. He believed he would get away with it, but he didn't. And now he's sorry, and he's a changed man and think he deserves a second chance. But I don't think so. This affected so many lives. My whole family just hasn't been the same since that day. My father didn't get a chance to see me get married on his birthday. My father never got a chance to meet and love all his grandchildren, and that bothers me. I hate it. The first time my kids questioned me about why they never met their grandfather, and I had to sit there and explain to my kids my father is no longer here with us. That was one of the worst feelings I ever felt in my life. But I hope y'all guys hearing our side will make this decision very easy and very clear that this evil animal doesn't deserve a second chance in the world. And I hope they make the right decision. Thank you. Are we good?
Yeah, thank you. You can go.
All right, thank you.
Shelley, I think there's another longer group of speakers as well that you're going to introduce.
Yeah, there are about 8 more family members that are logging in. It might be best for you to just call them each by name and then allow them to give their statement.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have everyone.
Great. We'll start with Philippe Ortiz.
Yeah, hey, what's up, everybody? I'm
Hey,
Felipe
yeah.
Ortiz. I'm the oldest son, and I'm just gonna keep this short. Like, I don't know why you think he deserves a second chance. Just like my brother said, like you killed somebody. Uh, they came to the funeral, shook my hand, told me like, yeah, you gonna miss all that. Now you did whatever time you did, and like, no, you killed somebody. He not coming back, so why should you come back? He got 7 kids, about 14 grandkids, never met. And like, I understand you did what you did, became in jail, but you wasn't one out here. So that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna pass it to my sister. She couldn't log in, so she gonna use my phone to say what she gotta say.
Right.
See how
Hi, my name is Ariel Ortiz. I wrote a little statement, so I'll just read from my phone. When my sister texted us asking us to speak today, a rush of emotions flew through my body. I contemplated about withdrawing from speaking, but I knew this wouldn't sit right with me if I didn't share the emotional toll Jay Sanders caused. You have no idea of the shift you placed in my family's life. The audacity of you requesting for a shorter sentence to be granted for some sort of freedom when my father's life was stolen from him is very bold of you. Did you honestly think that time will heal, and because it's been 26 years that we would find a way to forgive you or wouldn't be against you requesting for parole? Absolutely not. Grief has no time frame. This is me speaking from complete emptiness when I say, because of your doing, you deserve to remain behind bars. You have no idea how your actions caused a huge impact on my life. I can't pick up the phone to call my father. I can't celebrate his birthday or Father's Day with him. My children can't call or hang out with their pop-up. I have to explain to my kids why they can't see their pop-up physically. You took away the father figure I could have had growing up, leaving me with childhood trauma of missing my father. On some days, I seek therapy because I sometimes can't handle the reality of my father's absence. The triggering moments I have on a daily are uncontrollable. I am triggered on Father's Day. I am triggered on his birthday. I am triggered at weddings when the father and bride performs their daddy-daughter dance. I'm triggered watching the strong bond my children have with their father. I'm triggered when my 6-year-old daughter randomly asks if we could visit Pop-Pop to put flowers on his grave. Why do my children have to grow up with no memory of knowing their Pop-Pop besides visiting him at a gravesite? Mostly, I'm triggered by the loving relationship my children have with their Pop-Pop on their father's side. They're able to share many FaceTime calls to in-person conversations, welcomed by the warm embrace of big hugs and kisses. All of these triggering moments reminds me of what I could have had, or what my children could have had from my father if he was with us today. In closing, nothing could ever replace the void of emptiness in my heart the cause of your actions will forever affect me for the rest of my life. You took away my father, and I will never forgive you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your testimony. We'll move on to Jennifer Ortiz. How about Destiny Ortiz? Shelly, I see somebody's audio is trying to connect, so I don't know if they can hear me or not.
Yeah, my understanding is that Destiny, Denise, and Jennifer are together and are having audio problems. So could you call another name and we'll hopefully help.
Yeah, Marcelia Ortiz. Marcelia, can you hear me? If you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on, you can address the board at this time.
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. We can hear you. So now's your opportunity to address the board.
I don't feel that he deserves to come out to the streets. My beloved brother got death in their hands and no option of return. That's what they imposed on my brother. So no parole for him as well. The streets are bad enough with other crimes, so a lifer could be coming out. And the day that I heard that my brother got killed, and the worst time was when they had to tell my mother that her son was murdered. And to this day, I can still hear her scream. That scream I never heard before, that pain. And then in the way to the ambulance, when she was in the ambulance, because we had to take her to the hospital, she just looked at me and said, how am I going to live without him? All I could do was cry for her, because we cannot handle that he's not around anymore. He never saw his grandchildren. My kids, he used to help me a lot with my kids. I still remember the clothes that I had on that day. And I still have it in the closet. And to that day, I don't wear red because I had red pants on that day. And I just realized why I do not like red. I could see a red shirt that I love or any clothes, and I cannot put red back on. And, oh my God. He got 11 grandchildren that he never seen, and the stepchildren that love him to death. And he was a kind person. He used to help these two. That ended his life. He died a brutal death. Strangulation. They took turns trying to kill my brother. And it was planned. It wasn't like all of a sudden, no, it was planned. My brother used to take one of them to take haircuts, buy him clothes, feed him. He even went to my house. They even went to my brother's funeral. That's what hurts me so much. And I'm trying to get this hatred out of my heart, because I know it's not good. But with this thing coming on that he wants to come out, makes it even worse. And I just want to get that feeling out of me. My mother, my father, they suffer so much through this. So they don't deserve to come out of prison, because if he comes out of prison, that won't bring my brother back. Just like my little son said. I told him if he wants to talk. He said the only way he could come out if my uncle comes back. And that's not going to happen. So no, he should stay in jail. If he's doing good in jail, he could do good for the other people. But right now, it's enough crime out here so we could be bringing more people out in this world that hurt other people. He put a nightmare in our family. We go to gatherings. We can even enjoy it because he's missing. So every year as they're getting better, it gets worse. And he should stay in prison because the death that they caused my brother, that's a terrible death. Strangling him, sitting on him, on his face and everything. My brother suffered through all that. And he was a nice man. My brother was like 5'4". These men were over 6 feet. So no, they should stay in prison. I'm sorry for their family, but our family are in pain forever. That pain is never gonna go away. So no, please keep him in prison because that's where he belongs. He makes his choice. He didn't get that choice with my brother. They didn't ask him, oh, we want to kill you today. Do you want to die? No, they didn't ask that, and he didn't have the opportunity. So thank you very much, and I hope y'all make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here today. We'll go to Bianca Torres. If you can hear me, can you unmute yourself, Bianca? All right, we'll go to Jennifer Ortiz and then come back to Bianca. Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, we're going to start with Jennifer and then we'll come back to you, Bianca.
It's not on.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I'm here. Do you have an echo?
Dan, do you have a live stream running? Do you have our hearings live streamed on another device? If you could just turn that off, that would help with the feedback.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if you, because I hear an echo.
We can hear you.
Turn your phone off. I don't have it on.
It is on. Turn it off.
Okay, let me just make sure.
Yeah, turn it off. Turn the whole phone off.
Okay, good. They can hear me. Okay. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Jennifer Ortiz. Oh, okay. Okay, so I have 3 statements that I would like to read, if that's okay, from my dad's siblings.
Turn the phone off. Turn the phone off. She's gonna turn it off completely.
Let me see.
Off. You don't know how to turn the phone.
Yes.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay. This one is from Wanda Ortiz. My dad's younger sister. It says, good afternoon. My name is Wanda Ortiz. My brother was Felipe Ortiz Jr., also known as Alto. Okay.
You can keep going.
Okay. My brother was murdered on September 5th, 1998. J.T. Sanders was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the death of my brother. I'm not getting the meaning of life in prison without parole. To my understanding, that means not being eligible to be released on possible parole. Meaning having no chance to come out. So I don't understand. Giving this murder a chance to come out is a threat to society. His background is going to wind up, he's going to end up doing the same thing over and over again. My brother my brother, I'm sorry, my brother never had a chance to see none of his grandkids. And now he wants to come home with his whole life in front of him. He will probably have years of his own if he doesn't kill again. He doesn't deserve the opportunity to come out. He didn't give my brother a chance, so why should I give him a chance to get out of prison when he was sentenced to life in prison without parole? If he comes out, he's going to do the same thing over and over again. Now, I just need someone to explain to me the cause because I'm really not getting this. He wants to come out because he did 25 years probably for good behavior. Of course, he's going to do good behavior because he's in prison. There's nothing else there to do. So with that being said, why not keep him in jail to save other families from this heartache? So if you ask me, I would deny his chances of ever coming out. Thank you. And that was from Rhonda Ortiz. Okay, I have another one from his older sister, Firma Ortiz. To whom it may concern, my name is Firma Ortiz, and I'm the older sister of Felipe Ortiz Jr. and of all of my siblings. Today, I want to say first of all, losing a sibling is very hard to deal with. You have no idea the pain and suffering of these murderers killed my little brother. I'm only speaking of the pain on behalf of myself. I can't imagine the pain that his kids had to suffer during his murder. One of the most inhumane things a person can do is what these sorry streets of human beings did to my whole family. I pray that the people accountable for this heinous crime never see the light of day ever again. They didn't just take my brother, they took a piece of my heart. They don't deserve to breathe the same air that me and my family breathe. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have are there other family members with you that wish to speak?
Okay, so okay. Okay, all right, and that was two of the statements from my dad's siblings that I read, and there's one more, but I think Bianca's gonna read the one for her mother. Okay, and then this is just from myself. Just bear with me because it's just a lot of emotions and again, a lot of confusion on why we are here today. Sanders sent me an apology letter about 3 years ago. And in his letter, I didn't understand because it didn't show he had any remorse. The one thing that did stand out was stating that he was no longer reckless. To me, the understanding of reckless is an example of texting and driving, driving under the influence, things of that nature. Murder is not reckless. I'm not saying that I don't believe in prison reform. I wholeheartedly do. And for me, I also do believe in second chances, but not everyone deserves a second chance. And in this situation, I feel like second chances are done on a case by case basis. This wasn't something that was an accidental death. This was actually premeditated. He knew exactly what he was doing before he did it. He sat in my father's living room and planned on what he would use to murder my father for greed. This is not a reckless crime. This was done purposely. So I don't understand again, how do people who's supposed to have been serving 125 years concurrent with no possibility of parole is even able to have an applicant to even try and be released on parole. You know, he's already working in jail. He's going to school. He's educating people. That's all good. He's with the general public. That alone should be his freedom, not to be with everyone else who hasn't done the things that he's committed. As far as my well-being, the heart felt that my family and I feel the heartbreak is a little bit more personal to me because I didn't just endure heartbreak. I endured a mental breakdown. You know, it just put me in a place because I was the last one to see my father alive before JT Sanders. I was there a few hours before they decided to murder him. And I felt so much guilt for so many years because I just felt like if I was there a little longer, I could have saved him. And maybe they would have changed their minds on doing what they decided to do. And I spent about 14 years in therapy, and it actually took me 14 years to even visit my father in the cemetery because I just felt guilty for not being there for him when he was always there for me. So with that being said, the guilt got so bad that I almost committed suicide, not once, but twice, because I didn't know how, I didn't understand on how I wasn't, why didn't I just stay a little bit longer? I mean, I understand now that these things happen and there was nothing I possibly could have done. But at the time, my mental state just couldn't understand. So with that being said, I don't feel like he doesn't deserve to be here with us, you know. And what got me through was, you know, the therapy and my daughter, which he would never ever meet, and she would never meet him. And, you know, he would have loved her and the rest of his grandkids. So for me to sit here and be okay after him or not even serving a quarter of his sentence, which I just don't understand, is how he has the audacity to actually even think that his family would be okay with any type of possible early release at all. Maybe we can visit this when he's done half of his sentence. Right now, he's still young enough to do what he wants to do and live his life, but he's also still young enough to commit more crimes. So my thing is, you know, I believe in a justice system, and I just pray that you guys don't let us down, because I don't feel like my father will ever rest in peace if this happens, which won't allow us to rest in peace. And I don't know if I can go the rest of my life knowing that I let my father down once again. So I just please ask for you guys' mercy to leave Sanders where he is and not put my family through this, you know, having to relive this all over again. Thank you.
Could I ask a couple questions, Governor?
Sure.
Ma'am, did I hear you correctly saying that because of this whole incident, you were driven to suicidality?
Yes, not twice.
Okay, I'm very sorry to hear that. I want to really thank you for your compelling testimony today.
Thank you.
Bianca Torres. You can unmute your. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you guys see me?
No, we can hear you though.
I don't know how to pull up the.
Well, it's okay if you can just move forward.
Okay. Okay. I wrote something. So good afternoon. My name is Bianca Torres. I'm Philippe Ortiz Jr. That was my uncle. And When I was 10 years old, my uncle was murdered. Being only 10, I couldn't process what had happened. All I knew was that because my uncle was murdered, my mom, which is his youngest sister, couldn't give us the emotional support she used to give us because she was broken. My mom is still torn to this day. She always talks about him, telling stories about how close she was to her brother and how he was like the second dad, how he was the protector of all 6 of his siblings, and how he used to always make sure my brothers were doing good in school. Growing up, after finding out that my uncle was murdered, I seen how sick my grandparents had got over the next few years. These were hard times, and I only had happy memories with my grandparents. And because of my uncle's murder, my family started to break apart. My grandpa was hurting inside. He would act like he was okay, but I used to see the hurt behind his eyes. After the passing of my uncle, bad things just kept happening. My grandpa passed away. My mom and my dad separated. Then shortly after, my grandma passed away. My grandma used to tell me how she couldn't bear the heartbreak of losing her son due to being murdered and losing her husband too. My uncle was like our safe haven. He was our shield protecting us. When he was murdered, our shield was taken from us. We lost everything, all because of envy and greed. I didn't deserve this as a child. My mom didn't deserve this as a sister. And my grandparents didn't deserve this as parents. My uncle didn't deserve this as a kind, loving man. This case isn't a street case of both parties defending themselves. This case is a cold murder. How my uncle was plotted on, tied up, and strangled in cold murder. This case is a case of 2 friends killing their other friend. My uncle was a good friend. He didn't deserve this. We didn't deserve this. Our family is forever torn because of someone else's jealousies and selfish acts. We don't need people like that in this world. Times is already hard enough. If you give this man parole, you will be putting someone else's life in danger. Because good people don't kill in cold murder. I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Was there anybody else wishing to speak that we didn't get to that I hadn't called? I can't hear you, Jennifer. You're muted if you're trying to say something.
Okay, hi. Yeah, my mother also wanted to speak.
Great. Can you put her on?
She's right here.
Good afternoon.
You can see me.
Thank you can you see me?
Yes, we can see you and hear you.
Okay, thank you for speaking with me. I wanted to first go over the history of me and Alto. I'm the mother of his firstborn, Jennifer. We met in 1975, the summer of 1975. We were kids. He used to come on my block. We used to ride our bikes together. When I turned 16, I was allowed to date him. So we became very close. We were in love. And then time went on, we had a child together, which is Jennifer. So as time went on, as we got older, we grew apart. However, we remained friends because we started out as best friends. So we remained friends and we always stayed in touch. We always saw each other on a regular basis because we were friends. So then he was in the streets. I'm going to keep it real. He did go the wrong path, up the wrong path. My family, I was into church, but he went the wrong path. So what happened was he became incarcerated in Camp Hill prison. While he was in prison, he met my brother-in-law, Bobby Presley Jr., who was a missionary For those who don't know what missionary is, he was one who would come out and minister to the sick, to the prisons, to the shut-ins, and to the hospitals. And he knew that Alto was my significant other at the time, my ex, and he ministered to him. Alto turned his life over to God. So when I knew it was evident, because when Alto would call with those collect calls from prison, God was in every syllable. Every time he spoke about God. And I did remind him, you know, when you come home, you have to turn your life over for good and try at least. So once he was released, he was wrestling. He was wrestling with the good and the bad, the good and the evil. He had God in one ear and he had the streets in the other ear. And he wasn't sure what he wanted to do, but he was wrestling because he was on the fence. Then he decided that this was not the thing for him to be in the streets. He changed his life. He wanted to turn things over and go on the right path and do the right thing. So that's what his intentions was to do. Out of the streets, change his family, friends, change the friends that he had, and just go on and do the right thing. I was so proud of him. I bought him 4 brand new tires for his car for his journey. These are the things of him wanting to do the right thing is what caused his demise. J.T. Sanders killed this man because he wanted to get on the right path. He did not deserve that. He was a father at the time. He was an uncle. He was a brother, and a son. He did not deserve this. So what I want to do is talk about the letter that J.T. Sanders sent to my daughter. And I want to point out a couple of things in this letter. It says, I write to you because I feel I need to tell you that I am no longer the reckless person, and I have not been that person for a very long time. The boy who didn't value the surroundings of others and in hopes that you can forgive me, the man, for the heartache that I have caused you and your family. Well, we forgave him 25 years ago when we did not take his life in lieu of the death penalty. We spared him his life. We didn't go for the death penalty. So there was some forgiveness there. And also, I want to bring the emphasis on the boy who didn't value his surroundings and of those surroundings of others. There was no car accident that you had to do this surroundings. There was no car accident. This was not a vehicular homicide. Okay, this was a heinous crime that you purposely did. And I feel like this letter shows no remorse. There's not one I'm sorry in here. You're not even admitting what you did. Maybe he hasn't come to terms of admitting what he did. Maybe he haven't been able to face what he did. And for me, that sounds like a person that doesn't have any remorse. And if you have no remorse, you're dangerous, in my opinion. So I don't feel that he's ready to come home because there's not enough remorse. And if you can see this letter, there's only 7 lines that he wrote asking for forgiveness, and the rest he wrote a few more lines about himself. So I feel like this is a letter that he probably wrote a bunch of letters on a piece of paper to follow procedures that he needed to follow in order to get out in early release. Because this is not saying that he was remorseful or he was sorry for what he did. And again, like my daughter and others, I do believe in second chances, but you have to show me that you really was sorry for what you did. And this doesn't show anything because there's no contents in here, this letter that states how sorry he is or what he even did. So with that being said, maybe he do need to sit for maybe another 25 years and then come out, and then I'll revisit and decide if he's ready or not. But right now, I don't think he's ready because there's no remorse of what he did. Thank you.
Thank you. Veronica Torres. You can address the board at this time if you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. I'm Veronica Torres. Philippe was my stepdad. He raised me. He was a dad to me. So I wrote something. I'm a little nervous. I got a lot of emotions going through me right now. You know, I'm trying to keep it together. It says, on September 5th, 1998, my life was changed drastically forever. I remember that day like it was yesterday. My brother called with the devastating news. He found my dad's lifeless body. We were in shock, disbelief, hurt, but most of all, angry. When I found out the way it happened, my heart shattered. I felt pain like never before. I felt his pain. I was 12 years old when he was taken so viciously. I began to have emotional breakdowns. It was hard for me to understand how a person could just take a life, his life, the way they did with no care in the world. I go to therapy for my trauma. I suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. I've never been able to trust anyone. My children have been affected by this. I'm terrified for them as they become young adults and have to live in this cruel world. Me and my family are emotionally scarred from this senseless, unforgivable act of violence. He was our rock, our protector. He left shoes that can never be filled. My dad had dreams and ambitions that were on the verge of being fulfilled. But unfortunately, his life was taken viciously. He was our provider, always making sure we had what we needed. My mother was emotionally impacted by his death and was unable to perform her duties as a mom. Me and my brother were placed in a group home, pulled away from our family. It was and still is the most traumatic event of my life. I will never forget. This may be another case number for most, but this is the nightmare we have lived for 26 years. I am pleading to the courts on behalf of my family, most of all, my dad, who is the true victim here. Please deny clemency. My family has endured enough pain. Allow my dad to rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to move on to the next case. Thank you all for your testimony here today.
Governor, we're going to admit Maria Rodriguez, which is Mr. Pagan's stepsister, and Emily Rodriguez, his sister. We'll also be admitting DOC Rep Wayne Innes and Attorney Jennifer Merrigan, and also a representative from the Philadelphia DA's office.
Thank you. I see the Pagan family is here. If you want to address the board now at this time, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Growing up in a household with Louis was undoubtedly a blessing. He assumed the role of big brother and the firstborn son of Louis and Edna. He made sure my siblings and I had everything we needed. As our family dynamics changed, Louis remained someone that we could count on. He made sure we found happiness in the darkest of times because he served as the light. From the outside, our family may not make sense, but to us, we're puzzle pieces that fit perfectly together. Each of us plays a different role. You have different walks of life, educational backgrounds, professional pursuits, spiritual beliefs, talents, and even shortcomings. Unfortunately, Louis's actions impacted our family far greater than we could ever want. However, while Louis has been incarcerated since 1997, he has still figured out a way to play his role as an uncle, brother, son, an integral part of our family. He never misses a birthday or a milestone by sending a card that includes his art. He may not be physically present, but his presence is felt within our family. Over the last 27 years, we have witnessed his positive changes. We truly believe that Louis has learned from the tragedy he played a part in and feels horrible for the harm that Ortega family was caused. He has truly learned from his mistakes. He has reformed his life and has shown great remorse. He has worked hard to make a positive impact with his artwork at CSI Dallas and Green. He has motivated his nieces and nephews to choose a positive path and be better than the generation before them. Because of this and our family, we have 2 entrepreneurs, 4 college students, and 3 academically awarded teenagers. If granted the opportunity, our family would love to gain the missing puzzle piece and support him in every way as he assumes his role physically. He has a church, a home, a job, and a diverse supportive family waiting for him. We are prepared to offer him mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, professional, and any other support. We have no doubt that he has learned the hardest life lessons and is ready to be a positive impact in society. If I've learned anything from this family is that we show up when it matters, and Lewis matters. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members, members of the board. I've known Lewis since the late 1980s, and we became family when his father married my mother in 1990. I can say that the Lewis you see today is not the same person who was arrested for his crime in 1997. Lewis regrets his actions that put him behind bars and has caused the Ortega family so much pain. The person in front of you is a man who has learned from his past mistakes, has grown as an individual. As years have passed, I can see, I can hear, and I can feel that he's rehabilitated. My family and I have witnessed for nearly 30 years Lewis's transformation into a wise, thankful, caring, and rehabilitated man. Lewis has not only learned, but has grown, has shown remorse, repented, and regretted the actions that put him behind bars. He has put to good use his gifts and talents while incarcerated. I believe the same gift and passion will aid him if released. He has 2 job offers ready and waiting for him. He has us, his family, ready, able, willing to support him in every way possible. He would be coming home to a family who could guide and encourage him. We all have sought drug and rehabilitation programs within our communities to have those resources available should he need them. Our family has made getting together every month in the last few years a priority to connect, to celebrate, and encourage one another. We are looking forward to having Lewis join us. This family has made it a priority to be united, to support one another, and I know with the help of God, we're going to continue to do so, even more so if Lewis is granted the opportunity and the blessing of being released to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Was there someone else that we're missing? I know there are a number of attorneys on. Any questions from board members?
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
Thank you. Well, with that, we'll move on to the next case. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, can you just identify who's speaking in this case?
Yes, sir. We have Superintendent Wendy Nicholas logging in from SCI Muncie, and there will be, we have victim opposition from the victim's son, Ms. Weaver's son, and we're going to have a statement read by OVA.
Okay. We'll start with the son.
If I may, Governor, I'm seeing in the notes that there was an ADA that wanted to be admitted on the last case. I don't know
I think
if that's
she was admitted.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Weaver's son's name is Ray Totino.
Mr. Tolentino, the floor is yours.
Okay, we are on.
Yeah.
Thank you. The last name is Tononi.
Sorry.
I am Diane's biological son. I am here begging the board to not allow her to re-enter society. The information that I wanted to present today was to give you a more understanding of what the emotional state of this woman truly is. I am 53 years old now and still suffering the effects of the abuse that she presented to me from an early age up until the time that she committed this very horrible murder. And this horrible murder was also happened right outside my bedroom door. I was 5, 6 years old at the time. I witnessed portions of it. I also had to, unfortunately, step over Barry's body to go answer the door when the police arrived. That is an image that I will never fully get out of my head. And knowing that it was a premeditated act makes it even more egregious. This woman has, from my birth to this stage, committed physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, frequently all through those years. I've suffered broken bones, many bruises, emotional scars that I'm still trying to sort through even at my age. And throughout that time, there was no remorse for that. Even after that date, I see no remorse for anything that she has done. She has never reached out to try to show me personally that she regretted anything that she has done to me personally or to anybody else. My memories of the victim, Barry, have always been positive. When I was in his presence, she has taken the life of a father of other individuals that are amazing people. And I also lived with the guilt for many years for those individuals that I was present, that I was there, and that this was a biological family member that took his life. Still something that I cope with and deal with. His kids are now all of a sudden all grown, of course, and they're very supportive of my feelings. But going back to the emotional state, even leading up to this person, this woman, is very emotionally damaged, to say the least. As I said, at my age, I am still trying to recover and cope with a lot of the damage that has happened, the post-traumatic syndrome, everything that has occurred. As I said, she was abusive in every way possible, and I am still trying to understand that emotionally. I had been told at an early age for 6 years that I was worthless, meaningless, that I would never amount to anything, and that I'm not worth anything. That is still a foundation of some of my thoughts today. I don't, as I said, her behavior and the fact also that she is still claiming that she is a victim of abuse when she herself is the actual abuser. I don't feel that it would be in the best interest of society to have her re-enter it. I don't feel that I feel that she is still a danger because she is emotionally dangerous. But I wanted to just enter the fact that, again, this was a thought process that had started at my early stage of life, even prior to her murdering Barry. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to ask him, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes, I have some questions. I don't know if anyone else does. Sir, first of all, I just want to thank you for, the courageous action of coming up here to share this testimony today.
Thank you.
This was an area that I actually questioned the applicant about yesterday, and it was it was a very different story. So I do want to ask you. You mentioned sexual abuse, and I know this is very difficult for you. Okay, excuse me. Is there any way to just turn off the?
That's what I was doing. It kicked back on. I was trying to get rid of it here.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I know these are going to be difficult questions here, but I would very much, if I could, for the purposes of understanding the truth here, I would like to get as much on the record as possible. The first thing is you mentioned the physical abuse. How many specific instances of physical abuse can you recall, and what were those instances?
Broken arm at a very early age, more infancy, many bruises, many cuts. Again, remember, I'm 53 years old. This all happened within the first 6 years of my life. As far as numbering the incidents, it was many. It was frequent.
Were you kicked? Were you punched?
I was slapped, kicked, pushed. Yeah, I mean, I was physically abused on numerous occasions through, and frequent.
Can you tell us how your arm was broken specifically?
It was twisted. I do not remember the actual incident, as far as what instigated it or anything like that, but it was a twist fracture. And she lied. She out and out lied. Yes, she lied. Yes. Okay. As to the causes, which was a common theme. Anytime that she would leave marks, which was quite frequent, I was informed that I had to lie to mostly my father, who had, visitation, or anybody else that spoke up to see these bruises and so forth, that I was clumsy, that I hurt myself, that I hit myself, that, it was just always a cover up.
And as a child psychiatrist, I can say that sadly, this is not an unfamiliar story. You also mentioned, and again, I'm trying to do this as carefully as possible, but I think it's important to get it on the record, sessual abuse.
Correct. I was forced to, or I was told, but at that stage, when you're told, it's you have to comply. And it's also with the physical abuse, it's, okay, I know if this doesn't happen, this is going to. I was forced to touch her and do things to her.
Please be specific.
I will admit that to my recollection, I was never assaulted in that fashion, but I was forced to touch her. She'd be laying on the bed naked, and I was forced to do things to her.
And again, I'm trying to do this as carefully as possible, but I do think it's important to say exactly what you were forced to do.
Touch her in every place that was very inappropriate to touch her while she's naked.
Would that include her genital area?
Yes.
Okay. Are you okay right now, having gone through this? You look pretty upset, understandably. Is there any way we can help you, or?
No, I'm just trying to, I just want to get to my purpose for really coming forward today. I've never got involved with any of the other aspects of this case. When I was picked up the next day from my father and my real mother, the woman that really stepped up to be my mother.
To raise you, yeah.
Yes. I was given the option that if I wanted to visit her in prison, that they would be happy to take me and have those visitations. I can honestly say that without a hesitation, I immediately said no. For the first 18 years of my life, for every 6 months, I would get a card that said the same thing every time, and that was just to avoid any kind of termination of rights. My 18th birthday, I haven't heard from her since. Again, my purpose of really stepping forward today is not to put my pain out there and all the struggles. It's to show that this murder that she committed, that she premeditated, was not something that just happened. This was her mindset all along. This is who she was. She was an abusive, manipulative person that just ran roughshod over anybody that was inconvenienced or got in her way.
Thank you. I just have 2 more questions. Did you ever see her strike your father?
No.
Okay.
I never saw her strike my father. I've never saw her strike Barry either. But on the conversing side, I have never seen anybody strike her, and specifically even Barry in this case. I have never witnessed Barry striking her.
Thank you. Thank you again for appearing today.
Thank you.
Thank you. There is a representative from the Office of Victim Advocate that'd like to read a statement. You can move forward now.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name is Ellie Feckety. I'm with the Office of Victim Advocate, and I was asked to read a statement from Dennis Weaver, who was the younger sibling of Barry Weaver. My name is Dennis Lee Weaver. I'm the younger brother of Barry Lynn Weaver, who was murdered by Diane Weaver and Steve Barrick in the early morning hours of October 3rd, 1977, in his home while he slept, for which Diane convinced Steve Barrick on 5 different occasions to come to the home of Barry Weaver, and she would let him in to murder Barry so that Diane and Steve could be together. Steve came to the home on 4 different occasions, dressed in black, a face mask, gloves, a gun, and a long-celled flashlight to murder Barry. On those attempts, Steve backed out for whatever reason. Diane then had a conversation with Steve that if he did not follow through with her plans, she would no longer want to be with him. On October 3rd, following Diane's instructions, Steve entered the home, went into Barry's bedroom, and began beating him over the bridge of his nose and woke Barry up to where a fight ensued. Diane then became involved and helped beat Barry. She found a 20-inch floor fan and continued to beat Barry over the head from behind until he was dead. All this while her 5-year-old son, Roy, from her first marriage, witnessed what she had done. This boy ended up in therapy for 5 years, or for years, excuse me. Diane has been denied parole every time she had been eligible, so it appears the parole board could see what type of person they are dealing with inside the prison and denied her. Now, some 47 years later, Diane feels she should be released under a pardon so that she can follow through with whatever other evil plans she will cook up with another man. Barry and I were very close by hunting together, doing construction jobs together, being volunteer firemen at the same company, and whatever else brothers do together. Barry has been sadly missed since the first minute of his death, which came from the hands of a very evil and selfish person who I feel does not deserve to breathe this free air. Today, I'd like nothing more than to speak at this hearing. However, With me suffering from severe depression and anxiety attacks and being on depression medications since my father, who at age 52 years old on October 29th, 1974, falling dead at my feet, and then Barry's murder on October 3rd, 1977, I don't feel I would get through speaking. This hearing falls on my 74th birthday, which should be a happy day for me. However, this will only add to my depression. I can only hope that this board gives me a good birthday present and denies this pardon and keeps Diane in prison for a little while longer. Diane is a very, very evil person and will only add misery to another family if released back out into society. Respectfully submitted, Dennis Lee Weaver Sr. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the next case.
Governor, for this hearing, we will be admitting Ms. White's son, her niece, and a representative from the Philly DA's office.
Great. Jessica, are you her niece?
No, I'm from the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office.
My apologies. Her son's name is Donald Thomas, and her niece's name is Dorothy Richardson.
Okay. I see an iPhone unmuted, so if you'd wish to address the board now, it's
What's this? Okay, here we go.
okay. I can hear you. The floor is yours, so you can go ahead and proceed.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. All right.
Great, you can proceed. We can hear you.
Okay, cool. How you doing? My name is Donald Thomas. I am the son of Jaclyn White, and I'm speaking on the behalf of her today.
Great. You can deliver, if you have a statement, you can deliver it now.
My thing is, by me being, I never had my mom. I never experienced of, having my mother with me in my life. She's been away for a long time now. There's been a lot of deaths. Her oldest daughter, my oldest sister, my aunt's been passing away. It's been a lot of tragedy that's been going on. My grandmother, her mother, she's older now. She's like 90. She's going through health issues. And our family's been like just dealing with a lot of issues, since she's been gone. And we just want her to come back home to try to get us back in order. Just try to be that rock for us. Am I still here? What's going on?
You're still here. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. We just want to show. We want her to come home so she can give us that support. We're trying to show her that support to get her back in the real world, get back to this family, to try to build this family back again. It's been a lot of tragedies that's been going on. We've been hurt. We understand that she's been away for some time. She done learn, and I'm quite sure she's able to, be an example for not only just me, but for the younger ones. She have great nieces. She have grandchildren, yes, grandkids here. She definitely could be an example and a support for us and our family, for me and myself. We miss her. I miss her. It's just been a lot that's been going on. I lost my dad last year, and it's like I've been out here alone. And it's just that support I feel as though that she can bring to our family is definitely needed at this time. We're willing to be there with her financially, emotionally, mentally, help her, get back into society. It's been a lot that's been going on since she had been gone, and the way things have changed now. we all trying to be there to build. We want to build and regrow again. And she's been fighting hard over the years to try to come back home to get back to our family. And we are missing that. She's a missing piece of our puzzle, and we need her back home. And you know, she's been fighting, and we've been having her back, and we just need her to, you know, come back home to be there for us.
Thank you. Thank you. There was another person that wanted to speak. I think it was the niece.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas is okay.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Richardson. The niece of Jaclyn White. Pretty much what my little cousin was saying, that, you know, like my aunt's been going for the period of time. And a lot of things have changed, and you know, people in the family she haven't, you know, been able to see, and they're not here no more. I think like far as her needing any type of support, she has more than enough support, like for her family and friends. So she has more than enough support in any area that she need to be supported in. And I feel as though, you know, her being like, if we took it put a strain on our family. She's the last of her sisters. She's just the last. She has 2 brothers, but she's the last of the daughters, and my grandmom is really sick. That's her mom, Dorothy White Brown. And like, we just want to reunite with her. That's all. If that's possible, you know, that could be granted. Like I said, she'll be okay. It's not like she won't be supported, you know, and she can help out with the children that's left, including her grandchildren and her children. You know, she can help out because she's like the last of the, you know, her siblings. Besides her 2 brothers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from board members for the family or the district attorney's office?
No, Governor, thank you.
Governor, thanks.
Good, Governor, thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next case.
Governor, for Ms. Lassiter's hearing, we are admitting 2 representatives from the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, Neelam and Elizabeth, Sabira Williams from Amistad, and then Ms. Lassiter's daughter, Tamara.
Great. To Ms. Lassiter, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself and address the board at this time.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You can, the floor is yours.
I mean, I wasn't aware of what I should say. I know I was told by the counselor that you guys wanted to talk to me about my mother. The only thing I could really say is, you know, I missed her. I grew up my whole life without her, so it would be nice to end my life with her.
Okay. I don't think we have really any questions, but if that's all you want to share, that's fine.
That's all I really have to share. I mean, I've always supported her. I will continue to support her.
Thank you. Is there anything from the attorneys from the Innocence Project? I know we had some back and forth yesterday, but I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I just have just a few quick things, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So once again, my name is Liz DeLosa. I'm the managing attorney of the Pittsburgh office of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, and I, along with my colleague Neelam Songvi, represent Ms. Lassiter. You heard yesterday about Ms. Lassiter's nearly 4 decades journey through wrongful conviction and incarceration. And while her journey has been difficult, she readily admits that her incarceration probably saved her life. She's not the woman today that she was in the late 1980s. You also heard a little bit about Ms. Lassiter's accomplishments while she has been incarcerated. Ms. Lassiter has done difficult, but what she would describe as very rewarding work with hospice and with terminally ill fellow inmates. And she's also availed herself of every single mental health and drug and alcohol treatment options that have been available to her through SCI Muncie and at SCI Cambridge Springs. She has been clean and sober for decades. And her sobriety is very important to her and will be supported if she is granted this second chance. If released, she will be supported by her daughter who joins us here, and she will also be supported by the reentry team of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, who will help to connect her with any resources that she needs in order to reestablish her life. We thank you very much for your time and consideration of Ms. Lassiter's application, and we are very happy to answer any questions if the board has them.
Thank you. Any questions by board members?
I do have some, Governor. Thanks. Thank you for appearing here today. Did you submit or apply to the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office? I know they have a very robust review, integrity conviction review process. Have you submitted her case? And if so, what was the outcome?
We have not submitted her case yet. We're considering doing so. We have been doing our own vetting and investigation. We never submit a case until our investigative process is complete.
Understood. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, with that, we'll move on to the next case.
Thanks, Governor. For Mr. Cruz, we'll be admitting Rita Cruz, his daughter, and then the representative from the Department of Corrections is still here in person if there would be any questions for him.
Thank you. Ms. Cruz, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself and turn your camera on and we can begin.
Governor, although Rita Cruz appears to be logged in, we've been unable to actually make contact with her. So we may need to move past this hearing for right now.
It looks like the camera just came up. Is this Elizabeth Cruz? Is that her?
Okay, yes, it's her. Great. Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Cruz. Can you hear me, Ms. Rita Cruz? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know if the audio is connected.
It seems like she can't hear us. We're trying to get her on the phone.
Let's move back and we'll come back to her.
Okay, great.
Anybody for Rodney McCulla?
For Mr. McCulla's hearing, we'll be admitting Avis Bram, which is his partner. She'll be logging in with Dr. Larry King, his pastor, and Abdul Glenn, which will be Mr. McCulla's prospective employer.
Ms. Bram, if you wish to address the board, please unmute yourself and turn your camera on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can you see me?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Let me see, what does it say? Co-host has asked you to start your video, so I'm gonna start the video.
Yep. Yep, we
Okay,
got you now.
I'm sorry?
We can see and hear you.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Avis Bram, and I'm a licensed practical nurse in the state of Pennsylvania. And I wanted to say that I'm in full support for the commutation of Rodney McCulla. And I'm just going to give you a little background. I'm going to read it because, you know, I don't want to mess up anything. So I'll just start. I met Rodney in the late 1970s when we were both in our 20s. We met through mutual acquaintances. Rodney and I lost contact for well over 3 decades until 2011, when I looked him up to inform him of the death of one of those acquaintances. I was impressed by the tremendous growth that he exhibited when we started to correspond. Finally, at the end of 2018, I started to visit Rodney, and I have visited him almost weekly since that time. Rodney has expressed deep remorse for his previous unacceptable behavior that has landed him in his current situation. Rodney has tried to atone for his past in many ways. And I'm just going to give you a few examples and close it up. Okay, Rodney and another inmate were featured in a 1993 newspaper article written by John Temple entitled "Inmates Raise Money for Victims of Crime." The article spoke of how Rodney and a small group of other inmates participated in a run walkathon to benefit the Center for Victims of Violent Crime. With Rodney's, and another example of, you know, how he's grown is with his meager earnings, he has donated to charities such as St. Jude's Hospital for Children, the Ronald McDonald House, and Shriners Hospital for Children. Something else he's done, he's cared for an inmate who suffered a stroke by getting his meals and helping him carry out his day-to-day activities. That inmate has since passed on. But Rodney currently helps another inmate whose diabetes is uncontrolled, and he guides him through exercise as a way of lowering his hemoglobin A1C, his numbers that indicate his diabetic, where he is in diabetes. Rodney has mentored many younger inmates. One of the inmates, who has since been released, felt compelled to write a letter supporting Rodney in his quest for freedom. And I'm just going to go on a personal level and say, you know, I shared with Rodney that I had been diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer in 2012. And I shared also that every single time I go for a mammogram, I experience much anxiety and fear. So prior to one of my appointments, I received a card from Rodney with words of encouragement and instructions to take this card with you to your appointment. And that way he would be there with me. So to me, these are tremendous. These are just a few examples of the tremendous growth, encouragement, and compassion for others that Rodney has demonstrated. And some of the things that he's been doing, like he keeps himself busy with work, taking classes, and helping others. And I touched on his background a little. In his youth, Rodney temporarily abandoned the teachings of his family, especially his late grandmother and aunt. But having time on his hands to think, brought back what they had lovingly tried to instill in him. Rodney has shared with me that he has secured an offer of employment, and if that is not enough, I'm acquainted with a manager of a local fast food restaurant who has expressed an interest in hiring Rodney. They hired a formerly incarcerated. If Rodney is released, he has a place to call home. I own my own home, and Rodney is welcome there. In closing, Mr. McCulla is 71 years old and not a threat to society, but to the contrary, he will probably be an asset. He has a support system in place that includes myself, his longtime friend, Reverend Dr. Larry King, and a few others. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rim.
Okay.
I see Larry is here. Would you wish to address the board at this time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And first of all, I just want to thank you for giving me the time to elaborate on a few things.
So I can't see you and I can't hear you that well.
Dr. King, are you in the same room with Miss Graham? I believe they're in the same room. His device might be muted and we were picking it up over hers.
Yeah. Ms. Bram, would you be able to give him your phone or your device? Great. Can you just unmute yourself?
Okay.
Great. We can hear you and see you.
Okay. Hold on to that. Okay. Technical difficulties. First of all, I just want to thank you for allowing me to elaborate on Rodney for a few moments. I sent my letter to the board, and maybe you have it there in your presence. But I met Rodney back in about 1973, and we have been friends since then. He went his way after a while, and I went my way into the military for at least 21 years with the National Guard in active duty, and also a Philadelphia deputy sheriff for 26 years. And now I am a pastor. And I do a lot of community work in the community. But Rodney has helped me through a lot of difficult challenges in life. First, to name just maybe one or two, when my mother died, whom she also looked at Rodney as a son. And another time is when I was working on my dissertation, and it was to the point where though I was just ready to give it all up, and him and I had communicated many times with through letter and through phone calls and through right now the text. But through it all, he was there supporting me, and I have definitely seen the growth in Rodney. I've seen the growth in him from the time that he was arrested into this current time. And mind you, that throughout those years that were when I was going my way and he was going his, there was always a line of communication, either through mails. I got stacks of mails on my desk from him that goes back years. But I was able to communicate with him. And I think that he would be an asset to the community. And one of the things I mentioned that I do is community work. I work with the 16th Police District as a police chaplain, as one of my jobs. And what we do is we reach out to a lot of communities with young folks, and sometimes we get ex-offenders to come in and to talk to some of these young people within the churches and some of the programs that we have set up in the district there. So I think that when Rodney gets out, and I'm speaking positively, once he get out, I believe that he would definitely be an asset to the community, and he will not be in those numbers of being a recidivist in our system. And that's about it. But I believe you do have my letter that I wrote, and that's what I'm looking for now. But that sums it up.
Thank you.
Once again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul Glenn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is James Glenn. I've had the privilege of knowing Mr. McCulla for the past 5 years. During this time, he has profoundly impacted my life in ways I never thought possible. When I first met him, I was struggling with anger issues and I lacked direction in my life. Mr. McCulla took me under his wing and he taught me how to control my anger by channeling it into positive and productive endeavors. Through his guidance, I learned not only to manage my emotions, but also to run a successful business. His wisdom, patience, and unwavering support have been instrumental in my personal and professional growth. Mr. McCulla has shown me the value of hard work, integrity, and perseverance. I stand before you today to attest to the remarkable transformation Mr. McCulla has undergone. He's a man of great character who has used his time to better himself and those around him. His dedication to self-improvement and helping others is truly inspiring. If granted parole, I'm committed to providing Mr. McCulla with a stable and supportive environment. I have a position ready for him as an assembly technician in my business. This opportunity will allow him to reintegrate into society, contribute positively, and continue his journey of redemption. I firmly believe that Mr. McCulla deserves a second chance. He has demonstrated his ability to change and has positively impacted my life and the lives of many others. I respectfully ask you that you consider his commutation, allowing him the opportunity to prove that he can be a valuable and contributing member of our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you for appearing here today. With that, we're going to move back to Mr. Cruz's case. I think Rita Cruz is here and ready to participate. Ms. Cruz, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you this time. Sorry.
That's all right. We can hear you too. And so now is your opportunity to address the board.
I would here on behalf of Abraham Cruz, which is my stepfather. I am asking for consideration of him to let him out, to come home to us. He's over 80 years old. And I feel that he did his time. Yes, he did something wrong. And so he did his time.
He was remorseful. And unfortunately, you hear this all day, I'm sure. And just like the other families who are wanting their family member to come home, to reintegrate, to create new memories. He has a new generation of family members that he has yet to meet. He is remorseful. I can say that he's changed. We're asking for pardon so that he can finish out his days. His health is declining.
I'm sure you've seen that today when he came to you.
But
that's all he's asking for is just to come home and, to let us take care of him. And I would get him to his appointments wherever he needs to be.
So he has a support team. He'll be taken care of. So we're just pleading and asking for some type of help or some way to help us all get together to rally around and really provide him the support that he needs to live the rest of his life in dignity.
Thank you. Are there questions by board members?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, John.
Yeah. Okay. Ma'am, thank you for coming in today and sharing your laudable desire to help Mr. Cruz. I do have some questions, but before I ask you those questions, you are appearing rotated clockwise here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so
all right.
How familiar are you with his medical and/or neuropsychiatric condition?
Very well. From what I'm told, I'm having a hard time with getting all his records released to me, because when he first went in, he signed all the records for his information to be released. Since he had
the recent stroke, they changed ownership, like the hands. So now he had to, we don't have all of the documents, but we know that like he had a stroke and there's just some cognizant, like I don't know. I don't know the extent.
Okay, so this is a little bit awkward, right? Because since I'm not his doctor, but I am someone who's operating as a forensic psychiatrist evaluating his records. So I just want to be clear about this, but I'm sort of in the position of having to talk about his mental state. And
Yep.
So the records that I have seen indicate that there is a chance that he does have dementia.
No, that's our family. Yeah. I always like the analogy where Cary Grant uses, like, it doesn't run in my family, it practically gallops. A lot of our family dementia. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he has had the stroke, and so there could be some sort of a vascular dementia type presentation. Now, the reason why I'm discussing this with you here is, I guess, when someone has dementia, it tends to be a progressive kind of thing. And although it's really respectable and praiseworthy that you're willing to kind of take care of him, I guess the question is, if it got worse and he became incontinent or agitated or something like that, and there's a good chance, if it is in fact dementia, and again, I have not assessed him, I've merely reviewed the records, that it could get worse. Would you be ready to deal with that? Because if you were not, and then you looked for placement, in other words, like a place for him to go, it might be extremely difficult to find a place that would accept someone who is essentially serving a life with parole murder conviction sentence. So have you thought about that?
We have. That is something that we've discussed, like different options, different family members, like who would actually be able to, like, I know for me, like we've all made it clear, like we are always going to make ourselves available. Right. Like even for myself, like my father, who is his cousin, he has early signs of dementia. We know this is coming. We know, like supervised, my father lives with me now. So that's where we have to make sure everything's medications are distributed. And so we all have gathered around, even just for my father, to make sure that he's taken care of. So I do feel like we would have the support team to do the same. Because we know, like, and unfortunately my grandmother, like early 70s, full-blown Alzheimer's. Like it's just, it's his, like Abraham's mother, the same thing. She had very early full-blown Alzheimer's.
Really
and
early Alzheimer's. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and the stroke has really,
right.
I'm sure, I don't know based on like medical records, but I think that could definitely like play a part in everything.
Right. So I just want to be clear, like it sounds like you're willing to do whatever it takes, but do you also understand that there may be no other place for him to go, like once he if he did come back to you?
So that, I think we would have to gather around with his other children. I know we can definitely make it work, but we just need to, and I know this is not the time to kind of, but I didn't realize that, like.
Well, that's good. That's why I wanted to be clear. I mean, again, I have not assessed him. I have not done, I spoke with him. I have not done my own cognitive testing of him, but I have been sent an evaluation from the DOC that was done this week that suggests in writing, it doesn't suggest, it states that it is likely that he does have dementia. And the score on the particular test that he had suggests that it's quite significant. So I think what you're saying is you're not, like, you would like to discuss this among your family. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth,
Like I want to make sure that I have everyone's buy-in. I know this is not a good time to say, hey, can we have this as a takeaway? But like,
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, that's where it's like, but I need to make sure, 'cause I have a 2.5-year-old, and you know, like we have the bandwidth, we have the family, we have a very large family. So that's where it's like, thank God, like that I think we could get everyone together. I just did not realize, like with like medical care, like I know I pay for insurance. I did not realize that part of it.
The insurance does not necessarily cover, health insurance does not necessarily cover this.
Yeah, because that's where it's like I pay for like life dismemberment if I have to go into like a facility, like I pay for that, but I did not think about that for him.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you having that discussion. I do. Okay. Thank you.
I wish the prison would just release their more medical information to me, so that way we would know what we're looking at.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Harris, do you still have a question?
No, Dr. Williams kind of took care of that for me. Thank you.
Thank you both for appearing here today. And with that, we'll move on to the next case.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Governor, for Mr. DeWitt's case, will be admitting his son, Philip, his mother, Sammy, and his sister, Aletha.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, honorable members of the board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today in support of my father. I'm Captain Philip Wynn of the United States Air Force. I have served my country honorably for the last 8 years, including a 6-month deployment to the Middle East. I graduated at the top of my class from Naval Postgraduate School, where I earned my MBA. Currently, I serve as the branch chief for weather satellite contracts at Los Angeles Air Force Base, managing a portfolio of approximately $7 billion. I share these accomplishments not to boast, but to highlight the impact of my father's mentorship throughout my life. For as long as I can remember, my dad has been incarcerated, but those prison walls never stopped him from guiding me. When I was a young man, my grandmother, Sammy, would frequently take me to visit food. As I got older and I couldn't visit him as often, my father pretty much called me every week to check up on me. Most of our conversations turned into lectures. He would say things like, "Work hard, son. Go to school. Don't get in trouble. Stay away from bad people." And his favorite, "Don't end up like me." I've always kept his words in the back of my mind, and they have helped me avoid many mistakes. Growing up without a father was challenging, and I often wish Fu could have been a better role model. But I believe my dad did the best he could under the circumstances. He showed me what not to do and what the potential consequences are for bad behavior. For that, I respect him. A few years ago, my father suffered a stroke, and since then, he has had to rely on a cane to walk. He probably won't appreciate me saying this, but I believe my 83-year-old grandmother has better mobility than he does. His health has significantly declined, and he looks frail. In my line of work, I frequently attend briefings where we assess risks and threats. Based on my experience, I would consider my father, Fu, to be a non-threat to society, both in terms of his health and his current character. I genuinely believe he could be an asset to the community. I know he will continue to share his story, the mistakes he's made, the consequences he's faced, and his deep regret for missing out on my upbringing. Outside of prison, he could help others avoid the path he took. I plan to support him financially by giving him a monthly stipend and giving him my car as we upgrade to a minivan, especially now that my wife and I have recently welcomed our daughter, Lily, into the world. Hey, say hi. My dad has promised to find a job to help us with expenses, such as paying for diapers, which this little one goes through really quickly. I can tell he wants the opportunity to be a hardworking, law-abiding citizen who can support his granddaughter and do more than just offer advice. I hope the board considers everything I said and grants my father a chance at redemption. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Alethea Sangre.
Yes, Aletha.
Aletha,
Yes,
the
okay.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, honorable members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak in support of my brother, Fu Win. My name is Aletha Todd Sangre. My maiden surname is Daniel. As you can see, Fu and I don't share the same surname and we don't look alike, but Fu is my brother. After my mother met Fu at a camp for Southeast Asian children who came as refugees, my parents agreed that Fu would join our family. I was 17 and Fu was 14. He initially came to us as a foster child, but that was a title that didn't apply for long. We bonded right away, and he quickly settled into being a member of our family. Immediately, I observed that Fu was quiet, artistic, and thoughtful. He spent a lot of time sketching. His first day with our family, he created a detailed sketch of the house. He loved fashion, and the walls of his room were decorated with incredible pictures of cool hairstyles and hip clothes. He was also religious, a devout Catholic. We gave him the nickname Father Fu. Fu excelled in math, and when my mother got him into a drafting program, his instructor remarked that Fu could draw freehand, without a ruler or edge, a perfectly straight line. We were sure he'd continue studying and become a world-famous architect. Despite his intelligence, work ethic, and talent, Fu was sometimes denigrated in his drafting program. I distinctly remember him coming home and telling us that he was working hard and excelling, but people continued to call him boy. He was growing into a man, but he was a shorter Vietnamese man. And over time, the prejudice and personal jabs began to take a toll. His passion and enthusiasm for a craft he could see himself working in professionally became less important than finding people with whom he felt respected. I don't tell you this to make excuses for Fu and the actions that landed him here today. I convey all this because I believe Fu has incredible insight into young men's minds and how their friend groups and peers affect their decision-making. I have two sons, now 22 and 20 years old. When they were little guys, their Uncle Fu used his immense artistic talent to create large paintings for each boy. Their rooms to this day boast dozens of Fu's beautiful works of art. As the boys grew older, especially in their teen years, Uncle Fu dedicated most phone calls talking to my boys about choosing their friends wisely, admonishing them to stay out of trouble, controlling and understanding young male impulsivity, staying in school, and finding pride and satisfaction in good, honest work. As our one son began to fall into a group of young men who could have had criminal leanings, Uncle Fu implored him to step away, to think about his future, to listen to us, his parents. Each phone call was a Fu-led crash course in what not to do, who to stay away from, how to live an honest life through work and school. Our one son is in college now, working, has a girlfriend, and a solid group of friends who have his best interest at heart. I believe with all my heart it was Uncle Fu's wise counsel through repeated and incessant phone conversations that helped steer our son away from a life that could have potentially ended up behind bars. The other reason I told you a bit about Fu's formative years as a young man is because I can remember back to when I thought his future might be so very different from how it turned out. I have never stopped longing for a different story for my brother. I have seen him slow down and mature, study and perfect his art, love his work, continue with church and his spiritual journey, take accountability for his past actions, and demonstrate true empathy and compassion for those he has wronged, and dedicate himself to a life of service and love. Fu didn't just passively pass these years behind bars. He has spent the past 27 years as a model prisoner working to become a better human being. I believe that he will not only be productive and upstanding member of society, but that he has so much to offer once he is on the outside. Just as he masterfully guided his own son and his nephews as a self-professed model of what not to be and what not to do in misguided youth, Fu has the capacity to make a difference mentoring other young people who might be in crisis mode and heading down a dangerous path. Our mother is 83 years old. Because of first military service and then his career as a dermatologist, my husband and I moved our family to Central Virginia. So I live a 5.5 hours drive from Philadelphia where our mother lives. I am excited to have Fu and our mother, Sammy, living under the same roof, supporting each other and providing comfort for each other. My husband and I have a good source of income and resources, and we are prepared to make sure Fu's needs are met once he is released. He will have a safe and secure home and money for food and necessities. He wants to work, and we will make sure he has access to gainful employment. I thank each of you for listening to me and hope that my words have helped you know my brother Fu a little better. Thank you.
You. The next person we'll hear from is Sammy Bassoon Daniel.
Mute. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me the time to introduce myself and to speak in support of my son, Fu. My name is Sammy Buse Daniel. I'm 83 years old. I am by law Fu's foster mother. I don't usually use the word foster, but I don't want to confuse you since his birth mother and family are still very much part of Fu's life and living in Portland, Oregon. Fu was 14 when I met him at a Lutheran Children Refugee Summer Program where I worked as a kitchen volunteer. Shortly thereafterwards, Fu became part of the extended Daniel family, extended being 2 biological American children, 2 girls from Laos, 2 girls from Iran, and a boy named Fu from Vietnam. That made 7 of us. Unfortunately, 4 months after Fu became part of my family, my husband, Robert Todd Daniel, Fu's foster father, died. Every visit and every phone call, Fu talked about how he looks forward to finding employment and caring for me. He speaks of how he'll make up for the times he wasn't there for the family. When Fu talks to his children, his nephews and nieces, he tells them to do what is right, to stay out of trouble, to be a good citizen. He uses himself as an example and wish that he made better decisions. Over the 27 years Fu has been in prison, I have not heard one single complaint about him from prison staff. On my visits, I have personally heard from guards how polite and well-behaved my son is. If released, Fu will return to our family home. He will live with me. A few years ago, Fu suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed with limited walking ability and use of his left arm and hand. He uses a cane. Fu has always had good work ethic. Fu has a degree in drafting. He's an artist, a tailor, a good cook. Before his stroke, Fu was employed in prison as a clerk. Fu spent the last 27 years as a model prisoner. While in prison, he has gotten his GED as well as taken other courses to rehabilitate himself. He's worked hard at the tasks given to him, striving for the day he would hopefully return home. Fu has talked about watching men return through the revolving door, and I truly believe him when he says he won't be going through that door but once. He spent 27 of his 55 years in prison. That's half his life behind bars. He speaks of lessons learned. Each of you make up the 5 people sitting on this panel that will be the ones voting yes or no towards the release of my son. I speak on my son's behalf because I know he feels remorse and he has learned how to make better decisions. I sincerely hope I have helped you make your vote a yes, and I thank you for the time you have given me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from board members?
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you all for appearing here today. And with that, we'll move on to the next case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Governor, for this last case for Mr. Drose, will be admitting his attorney, Rich Shore, and his sisters, Carmen and Teresita, and his mother, Alicia.
If you all could just turn your cameras on, we could get started.
My camera is on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Oh,
you.
great.
And how about we just start with you?
Sure. My name is Carmen Girona, and I am talking on behalf of my brother Raphael Drose. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to do this. During his incarceration, my family I have visited him in prison and have seen his maturity and his positive attitude over the years. He's involved in his church prison group, and during that time, he has participated in several programs and courses while in prison. He completed a wellness course as well as a masonry level course and a aided machine computer course, which he has received certificates for these courses. These skills are going to be very useful for him if he is released. In those years, we've had many conversations discussing current events, as well as keeping him up to date on his niece and nephew, which are now grown adults. If released, my brother will definitely have the support of the family and friends. We will help him find a job. I'm going to definitely dedicate my time, my resources, to make sure that I support him and hope that he is successful in being able to be reintroduced in society, as well as finding a job. I miss my brother. I miss not having a relationship with him, a closer relationship with him. And if he's released, I definitely am looking forward to that. And, having him back into the fold of his family. I want to thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to talk on his behalf.
Thank you. Thank you for appearing here today. And with that, we'll move on to Teresita Drose.
Yeah, Drose Burials. Yes, that's my sister.
Is she present?
She should be.
Oh yeah, I think she is. Can you just unmute
I
yourself?
just keep forgetting to take myself off mute, and I was trying to make it that we can be a little bit more visible.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it was a little bit background dark. So again, my name is Teresita Drose Burials, and I am the sister of Raphael Drose. I work as a paralegal at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I've been there for over 37 years. With my years of work experience, I can help my brother in joining the workforce by helping him creating resumes, how to prepare interviews. I am here today to express my support for my brother. I believe my brother has paid for his crime and would be a valuable contributor to our society as a law-abiding citizen. Throughout his incarceration, he has taken every opportunity to participate in educational and vocational programs offered within the correctional facilities, showing a genuine desire to develop new skills and acquire knowledge that will enable him to join successfully into society. He has demonstrated to me and to the family his commitment to personal growth and self-employment. Improvement. My brother's goal, if released, has told me that he would like to work in construction.
So he has enrolled and completed an internship in the architectural drafting and survey. He has also enrolled and completed an internship, another internship program in drafting and construction and technology. He has also participated and completed various programs such as the Violence Prevention Program, the Long-Term Offended Program, the Victim Awareness Program. He has also attended Impact Crime and joined the Dog Prison Training Program. He has also enrolled in Associate Christian Counseling. These programs, I feel, has enhanced his skills, his capabilities to be able to raise a sense of responsibility and a need to give back to his community. If he is granted parole, I want to highlight the strong support system that awaits my brother outside the prison. My family, including myself, my mother, and close friends are fully committed to providing my brother with housing, unemployment, guidance, structure, encouragement needed to ensure a successful reentry into the workforce as well as society. Now that my family has a new addition, my nephew has a new baby, I would like to see my brother become an uncle as well as a role model for the baby. And I would also like to see my brother reconnect with other family members and his friends. I express my support that the parole board is reviewing my brother's case with compassion, taking into consideration his efforts towards rehabilitation, the positive impact he can make in the community, and the potential for a successful and law-abiding future. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much for appearing here today. Miss Alicia Drose, would you like to address the board?
Would you like to say people?
This is Alicia Drose. I'm the mother of Raphael Drose, and he's my son. And I wanted him to come out to see me when I go over there to see him. Sometimes I talk to him. I want him to go home. This is my son. I love him. What can I say? I think the opportunity for him to come out, to help him find a job, to help him get a better life. I want him to go home, please.
Is that all you want to say? That's all she wants to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for appearing here today. Were there any questions from board members?
No.
No, Governor.
No, Governor.
Thank you. And with that, we'll adjourn to an executive session.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you just want to give me 1 minute to clear the room on this side.